So, it's Kraken Week. You know, like Shark Week, but for TTRPGs, created by Ginny D and Pointy Hat. If you've somehow ended up here, I'm sure you know them. For the first week of July, TTRPG content creators are putting out videos that are all ocean-themed to some extent. So, monsters, ship-to-ship combat, underwater combat, new playable races, and some more metaphorical underwater topics too, which I may touch on later. All in all, it's a cool idea. I've been part of collaborative TTRPG projects before, Brigade Con in the past, and more recently RPG A Day, which is coming up again soon actually. But this is something much more mainstream as D&D gets, which I suppose is quite mainstream at this point. So that's cool. Anyway, I thought, sure, I'm behind a week of one-shots, writing a new Pathfinder game, and need to do more work on my Dark Souls dungeon, but as Mr. Incredible would say, I've got time. My first mistake, as I'm not a superhero, so yeah, that's why this is coming out essentially at the end of the week, because no, I did not in fact have time. So, then you may be thinking, if that was your first mistake, what's your second mistake? Or you might not be thinking of that at all, and I'm overthinking things, that's entirely possible, but I'm getting off topic. Anyway, I am going to get to that second mistake, but let me explain the process first, okay? I was trying to think of what else I could do on short notice, as I don't particularly have any water-based games I could run. I mean, there was Spelljammer, but that would involve running 5e, which I do my best to try and avoid at this point, especially as I figured most other people would be doing 5e content related to the ocean and stuff. Anyway, so what else could I do? Make a dungeon. I could make a dungeon out of the ocean. Now, not literally, obviously, and we're going to go a little more specific than that, but hey, it's still water-themed, and that's what matters. So let me reveal to you Davy Jones' Delve, or Davy Jones' Descent. Name pending. Your party has been travelling up the coast for 3 days. The weather has been less than ideal, and with food running low, you all decide to stop in at a small tavern at the most recent of the small fishing towns you've been passing on your recent travels. Getting some food and drink, as well as some more provisions from the local trader, you settle in for a nice, relaxing evening of stories, dice and booze. But before long, one of the locals catches your eye. "Don't recognise your faces," he says as he shuffles over. "I hope it isn't too presumptuous of me to assume you all might be adventurers, judging by your gear and all." You tell the old man that, yes, you are, just passing through, and he gives you a smile. "Wonderful. Well, then I do have an opportunity for you. As of late, we've been having some trouble with pirates, you see. They disrupt the shipping lanes and scare the fish, and we have no idea if they'll stay satisfied with that for long, or if they'll eventually get bored and come down here to give us a visit too." You tell him you're sorry that they are causing so much trouble, but you don't have a boat, and aren't particularly practiced in marine warfare anyway. But he holds up a hand and shakes his head. "That's no problem. They have a base here on land. We found it. Not far off. Just a couple of hours up the coast. We just don't have the numbers or strength to deal with them ourselves. I can show you where their hideout is on the map, then you can decide when you pass if you want to deal with them or not. Though I hear they have a veritable hoard of treasure there. Might be worth your time." The man wanders off, leaving you all to discuss, and, surely enough, down the road you all stop at the cliffs that mark the location of the pirate den, tempted by the promise of witches to take a look inside. Doing so, you do indeed fight pirates and find witches, but descending through to the lower levels of the den, where things get darker and older, you start to get the feeling there might be a little more going on here than the old man told you. There we go. So, yes, it's another dungeon, but it has a theme. Not that the other ones didn't have a theme, but here we are. The theme's not pirates, by the way, it's the 7 seas. There are 6 main floors, with one adjacent kind of one, which I will explain later, and each one represents one of the famed-ish, sort of, get to that, 7 seas that pirates sailed. And that's not all. The top layers may be a pirate den, but down the bottom we've got some ancient, mysterious deep-sea creature that has been trapped here and has been trying to escape. Some nautical vibes for sure, but also making this adventure a little bit more of an anglerfish. Check out this video afterwards for more on those. So it's kind of a 2-part dungeon in that obviously what was going on before and what is going on now are separate but related. So how the pirates use the base, they're using things that the previous inhabitants of this structure had already got in place, which will become more clear on the low levels as we go. But essentially, they captured this giant creature to try and study it because it was, who knows, I'm not quite got that far yet, but, you know, attacking them or causing them problems or stealing their fish. And then something went wrong and they had to leave, but the creature is still down there and has been trying to find ways to get out. Maybe that old man was a agent of this creature, or maybe it was an agent of these researchers who's trying to get someone there to go and finish it off because they don't have the strength to anymore. Anyway, my initial plan had been to do one room per sea or ocean, but of course I got carried away. I wanted to do a dungeon where each level you go down, things get weirder and more mysterious, eventually leading to the monster on the bottom floor, like the dragon. You get the bottom of the dungeon, which was going to be a Kraken, but then I looked at the stat block and went, so it might be something else, or variation at least. You can check out Pointy Hat's video from one where the Kraken is not the best, at least in 5e. But yeah, there we go. So that was my second mistake. If I'd just done one floor, then I would have probably managed this. But no, I am doing a whole dungeon again, so there we go. This is going to go on long beyond Kraken Week. You may have noticed I mentioned 5e there a couple of times. Yeah, I'm starting writing this in 5e at the very least. It is still, even though I try not to use it anymore, the system I know best and have the most experience with. Plus, I associate Ginny and Pointy Hat with D&D in 5e, I suppose. So I just defaulted to that. But with any hope, this dungeon will be more of a framework of ideas, concepts and narratives that can be used in a whole host of systems. But that is certainly me getting ahead of myself. We'll get into some of the narrative stuff in a bit, as well as the first floor of the dungeon, because that's all I've had time to do. But first, the Seven Seas. What are they? Where did they come from? And why are they associated with pirates? Well, let's learn a little bit of, I guess, history, geography, all sorts. So for a start, it is quite possible that the Seven Seas were not literal, but just meant like a lot, many seas. It's also true that the seas were sometimes not seas, and rather gulfs or parts of the ocean. In addition to this, Seven Seas are going to vary quite a bit depending on where you live and what you do. So in some regions, major rivers used for travel and trade would be counted amongst the number, whilst elsewhere they were perhaps more traditional seas or oceans. So already, the Seven Seas that pirates sail just means, you know, the waters that they're kind of in, most likely. A couple of examples are that the Seven Seas of the ancient Greeks were often the Aegean, the Adriatic, Mediterranean, the Black, the Red, the Caspian Sea, and the Persian Gulf. Whereas in medieval Europe, they were the Atlantic Ocean, the Arabian, Baltic, Black, Mediterranean, North and Red Seas. And then even that would change later to include different seas after more European exploration had occurred. However, what we are considering the Seven Seas for today would be more closely understood as the Seven Oceans. But that doesn't sound as cool, so here we are. They are the Atlantic, north and south, the Arctic, the Indian, and the Pacific, north and south, along with the Antarctic, which we put as the southern, just so it's more distinguishable from the Arctic. But either name works. So are these the same Seven Seas pirates would have once sailed? Certainly not, but it keeps in with the theme well enough, I think. So now let's have a look at how we've split these into floors and which we will be covering first. So up on the ground level is the secret entrance to the dungeon, which is found kind of like in some hills, but kind of hidden away. And getting in here will lead you to a couple of rooms and a secret door that will lead you further into the dungeon proper. More on that shortly. The first level itself has more of an inconspicuous entrance of the two, for the party at least, through the sea caves to the docks. A bit harder to get into though, but less observation. This whole floor is based on the Indian Ocean. So where is that? Well, it's here. Meeting Asia in the north, Africa in the west, Australia in the east, and in the south it meets the southern, or Antarctic, to keep that A alliteration going. It's named after India, which protrudes into it, and it was previously known as the Eastern Ocean, but that was a long time ago, in like the 1500s. It is entirely in the Eastern Hemisphere and bordered by landmasses and archipelagos on three sides, which is unusual. It is the warmest ocean, one of the reasons it is the first floor. This is partly due to climate change, but hopefully that is less of an issue in your fantasy world at least. And historically it's a global hub of cultural and commercial exchange, and is still vital for trade across the world in modern day, though for very different things. Those are the main things we're going to be using for this section of the dungeon. But a couple more facts for you. Almost half the world's mangrove habitats in Indonesia and in the Indian Ocean, wow, 25% of the 36 biodiversity hotspots are on the borders of this ocean. It's home to many kinds of whales, turtles and dolphins, though sadly lots of these are still vulnerable species, and the waters are largely affected by monsoons. So that's the Indian Ocean. Let's have a look at the first floor of the dungeon and see what we've got. So I used the idea of it being the warmest ocean and a hub for trade for this floor primarily. So it's the top floor, and it's where the pirates keep their treasure and make most of their deals with other pirates, seedy nobles and the like. It makes sense too. You don't want people traipsing further down into your lair and learning more about it if you can help it. So it's just a few rooms at the top that they take people to have their discussions. You might be thinking, do you want to have all your treasure so near the surface? Seems like a bit of an issue. But I've thought of that too, so don't worry, that's covered later. I also learned during my research of Mauritia, I think that's how it's pronounced, a microcontinent from the Precambrian that would have been situated between India and Madagascar. It's since segmented and disappeared, but there's still some evidence of it having once existed, and we're going to make use of this too with that secret door. So, we're going to get started with the map room, which is this room down here. If you find the entrance through the stairs, you end up in this room. It's got two rooms to exit off, to the east and to the west. We'll cover them in a moment. And is largely covered by dust, dirt and sand blown in by the sea breeze. And apart from those exits, the only other notable feature is an ornate fresco of the world map on the back wall. And this is where we're going to get into that little bit of Mauritia, the microcontinent. Because this world map, if anyone checks, either if it's, 5e, you'd probably do a history check or investigation, or another system, it might just be, this all mentions that they're looking at it if it's something like OSC or DCC, that there's a continent on there, a landmass, that isn't on most maps. It's a myth at best in this day and age, based on history, or just it looks more faded and scratched than the rest of the map if you're doing investigation, for example. And pushing down that landmass will open the secret door, revealing another set of stairs that ascends deeper and into the dungeon proper. We've got a guard station on one side. This is one post that is still used and would have been used in the past as well to defend against the locals. Essentially, this research station was aware that there were locals in the areas who would not want them there, and if they found out, they'd need someone to be able to defend, or most of the people evacuated. So that's what this guard station was for. It's still used now by the pirates, but they will try and sneak away and prepare a better ambush location if they locate people coming towards the area, which they do by the room on the east, the Lookout Hill, which, using some ancient illusion magic that the pirates have no idea how it works, disguises this stone structure to be essentially a one-way mirror kind of thing, where it looks like a hill, quite a round hill, but a hill from the outside, but on the inside you can climb up a ladder into this dome and have a good 360 view to look for anyone who might be coming your way, and then you could prepare to fight them off, or in the pirates' case, alert the others, hide behind the secret door and prepare to ambush them if necessary. Or just bring people in. Obviously, if you are dealing with nobles or the city pirates, then there is the meeting room just at the bottom of these stairs. They will usually bring people in the other way, but we'll get to that after we've done the meeting room, because I'm just doing it in order. There's a large table in here, there's an impressive chair, two portraits of a man in a long coat and hat, the pirate captain, whose name is undetermined at this point. And he's got very shiny candles and piles of gold coins to really big up his presentation and his power on this table. We've got some stuff hidden away in the desk, which you can find some gold, bits and bobs like that for betting or making deals. And there's also a pirate ambush waiting to happen if they have alerted the pirates to their presence by coming through that top entrance. The pirates will be hidden in the two doors further beyond to advance and attack as the players move in further. The captain's room is also that room on the left. All sorts of captainy things there. You get the idea. And then the room on the right is another guard room, but this is a room where the captain will keep some other pirate guards who can come and attack any, you know, other pirate bands or nobles' men's who get the idea that they have the upper hand against just the pirate and maybe he's like one bodyguard. But no, there are lots more of them waiting nearby, and you know, they might not be in there if there is no ambush planned, if the party have come in another way, which is through the way of the storeroom, which is down over here. This has a couple of little extra rooms off of it. One's additional storage for gunpowder and cannonballs and stuff like that. This room's kept quite well sealed, so there's no damp or anything like that. The other room is where they've trapped a sea hag, or, you know, similar oceany monster that can survive out of water. So a bit of a fun little surprise if the players do ignore the "don't go in here" marks on the door and the fact that it's barricaded. A little bit of a fun encounter in there. And then this path to the west leads down to the cave, which are not designed yet, but that's where the pirates stock their ships, and where they'll get most of their other pirate, you know, potential allies or nobles to come and stay. So they don't know exactly where the other secret entrance is, and it's much easier to know people coming in a ship into your secret little cave there. So that's how you'd get in, and if the players sneak in that way, obviously the pirates are going to be less aware than if they come in through the place that's fully observed. Beyond this room, though, where you have the meeting hall, is the Horde. It's got a sturdy door, hard to get into, trapped and everything, for how that relates to various systems, you know, checking for traps or things like that. And there's a huge pile of gold and jewels and silver stacked in the middle of this room, just kind of there for the taking, but it's there for a reason. The pirates have some magicians between them, and they were able to place a spell to hide this room from the eyes of those who put a curse on this treasure. I can't remember the name of the spell right now, but again, you know, depends on the system really. It's mostly a narrative thing, because they stole this treasure from an adult sea dragon, which is a dragon from one of the Kobold Press Eternal Beasts books, I believe, but you could put, you know, have it just a blue dragon or any kind of big monster that has hordes from whatever system in here. They put a curse on this treasure, so if it's stolen, they can find it. The pirates knew this. They managed to steal it and get it here quick enough that the dragon was not able to find it. But if anyone takes the treasure out of here, they will have a sea dragon coming after them. So quite fun. You'll have to try and find a way to remove that curse before you steal any of this treasure. Or just go and find other treasure. The side rooms do contain more treasure. One side, the one on the left, has all manner of ornate pottery and carvings, wooden seats and tables, things like that they can sell off at a later time. Whereas on the right hand side, it's more of a gallery containing all manner of landscapes and portraits of varying quality. Getting those out would be a lot of time and effort, but again, that's more a place that pirates can go and, you know, just appreciate some of the things that they've stolen over the years. Moving back further, we have the bar, room 5. It's a bar. There's tables, there's a bar, you know, there's some dartboards. You know, if you've caught the pirates unaware, there'll be plenty of them in here. If you haven't, most of them won't be. It'll be quite empty, and there'll just be a few hiding behind the bar proper, ready to fire on you with flintlocks and yeet bottles at you. Yeet? Oh dear. Throw bottles at you. Maybe, you know, kind of an alchemist sort of deal with some of the alcohol, things like that. Could be a fun encounter, I think. Opposite that's the drill hall. Pirates don't use this very much, you know. They set it up with some makeshift training dummies and wooden sticks to practice drills and stuff, but there's a thin layer of dust. This room has not been used much, which works to the player's advantage if they need someone to lay low, because no pirates really check it. And then we also discover the first hint to something bigger going on, something more complicated than just some pirates in a room, which is this undisturbed area here, this panic room. The final room, room number 7, which has a single resident, a skeleton, lying on the bottom bunk. Looking at it clearly shows that they've been there for decades, if not longer. And they appear to have died just from starvation being trapped in this room, or the food that wasn't here, because it's clearly a panic room. Plenty of like shelves that would have had like non-perishable food on, all lying empty on the floor now. So yeah, they've also got a small diary with them, written in an old dialect of, who knows, maybe Elvish. maybe another language. There could be sea elves. There could be someone else who he's talking about. You know, kind of like the dwarves in Moria when they have the book. You know, we cannot get out. They are coming, and all that stuff. To give the players a little bit more of a hint of something bigger going on here than just pirates. Maybe we want to investigate more. Maybe we want to get the hell out and not touch this. And yeah, but that's the first level. It's also possible that there might be some kind of like secret, not secret, but some kind of spectral voice, some kind of mysterious voice speaking to the head, telling them to go deeper to find something. Again, kind of like Subnautica, where you have the something speaking to you throughout that game. I'm not going to say too much because I'm going to spoil that, but yeah, those are the kind of general ideas. And that's the floor, you know, largely it's a pirate horde. There's lots of treasure that can be found here, and a few fun combat encounters, a couple of ways to get in. It's not particularly Jaquaized, in the sense of there's not multiple ways to get down to the low levels, but that is also by design. There is the next floor down is a bit of a fire break between the rest of the dungeon to kind of prevent the creatures that they're researching to kind of get out as easily, so that's why. But as we go further down, there will be more ways up and down as we go on. It's also a smaller level, kind of introductory level, could very much be ran, you know, as itself as like a small one-shot first, where you you know, meet the old man at the tavern, make your way to and sneak to and try and find the entrance to this pirate cave, and then sneak in, fight the band of pirates, take the treasure, and then go. And then, you know, they can either come back here, or they can try and have to deal with the dragon, or other pirates who maybe come back later. You know, you've got a few fun plot hooks there. So that's pretty much floor 1. I'm quite happy with it. There's certainly much more to go. But that'll end up happening long after Kraken Week is through, clearly. But glad that I at least got this one out in time. Check out the other Kraken videos in the playlist. There are loads. I mentioned a couple of them in this. For the low levels, I may well use some of the new underwater combat rules, maybe people have come up with, and perhaps it was Ginny D's new playable mermaid race that started researching these mysterious monstrous sea creatures here a long time ago. Though that backstory would have to be a discussion to have in more detail another time. For now, thank you for watching. If you stumbled across me from Kraken Week, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I'm still new to this whole video creation and editing thing, so rest assured, I can only get better, I think. Like and subscribe to see future uploads. I'm making another dungeon right now based on Dark Souls, as well as my series Weekend One-Shots, where I talk about a TTRPG system in regards to its history, mechanics, a little bit of my experience running it, and a specific session or one-shot that I have run. I'm super behind on those as they take a lot of work for me, but they're a lot of fun. August is also coming up, and like I mentioned earlier, that will begin RPG a day again. That's too many agains, which I will have a video out for, or a few. Not sure how I'm going to do it this year, but I definitely recommend you check that out if you can. There's a series of questions you can answer in whatever format you wish. It's another fun TTRPG community collaboration that's much older than Kraken Week, but nowhere near as big as this, so it would be awesome to get more people into it. That's everything for now though, so thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.